When you love this game, you go anywhere for it. We go for highs and lows, and all across the globe. Wherever you go, Trivago.
To give massive thanks to all of my supporting members and patrons. Thank you all so very much. Thank you guys. Blimey. Yes, I switched on desktop audio instead of my audio. Oh dear. It wouldn't be one of my streams if I couldn't Josh and play a little trick on you. It was all deliberate. Yes, I am just talking to myself. I was anyway. Hopefully I'm okay now. Usual professional level of presentation, says Martin H. Turtle Moves, I can tech. It was all a test, you see. It's a long time since I've done this, and I wanted to remind you of the good old days. The good old days when I tended to get things wrong. Noob. But I presume the sound is through now. Are you getting the sound now, guys? Hopefully. I said hello to absolutely everyone. I had a long conversation with each and every one of you. During that time, I was speaking rather quietly. Second Best Bob can hear now. Thank you, Second Best Bob. Guys, I'm sorry. I have had a couple of little issues actually tonight. Because I tend to have a YouTube window up with the chat running. But the actual video, it was only showing the top 2/3 of the video unless I shrink the screen, and then I can't see the chat, so I've had to pop out the chat. Thor KC, it's a miracle! My ears work again. It's the Messiah. He's not the Messiah, he's just a naughty boy. A very naughty boy. So, anyway, I did say hello to many of you. Many of you. I'm not that good on reading lips, says 274727. You need more practice. Watch my channel more often. Oh, yes. I hope you're all okay. I don't know. We've had some terrible weather around here. It was hammering down rain, so I hope you're not going to get the sound of the rain, because it's an outdoor garden office. This Sensible Studios, and when it rains heavily, it's really loud and it can get picked up on the mic. So sorry if that happens tonight. Yes, I've had a couple of issues. I'm sort of beating around the bush a bit here, aren't I? Let's get to the nub of my gist. What's been going on there, Mr. S, I hear you ask? Okay, well, I think I had posted a couple of times saying, I've got a lot on. I guess a lot of us do. My shifts at work seem to have worked out really terrible for quite a while, making it awkward to do videos. And yes, so John F, it is a while since I've done a live stream. So shifts are bad, which makes things awkward. But I had been putting out some videos as and when I could. We've also had some major works I've been doing at home. So a lot of redecoration, reorganising, rejigging the house. I mean, literally everything. We're having some plastering. Got just booked in some plasterer to do a couple of rooms, so that'll be yet more decoration. So I've had all that sort of thing going on. You know, the sort of thing. You get some projects that just get in the way. Life gets in the way. And also been doing some garden work. What's the word? I thought of it earlier on. Major garden work, not just planting a few plants, but building raised beds and things like that. I can't think of the proper term, but some major works. And I earlier this year I'd done a load of refencing, so a lot of stuff going on. Then, of course, and I did, drown out the rain with the AC. Thanks to it's on, but it's not doing that squeak. Dr. Nimrod, member for 6 months, sensible member. Yay! Jesus is back. Guy, you guys really do make me laugh. You built a shrubbery. Fetch me a shrubbery. Cut down the mightiest tree in the forest with a herring. Where do I get to? Yes, garden renovation works. So had absolutely shed loads of stuff. Working my way through it. Still got quite a bit more to do. I posted my daughter has just had our first grandchild, a little girl called Lily, short for Lillian. And actually, we are off in the morning to go and visit and see our grandchild, our first grandchild, for the very first time. So tomorrow morning I'll be dashing off with Mrs. S, because apparently she wants to go as well. And we're back off to Dubai again. I'm staying for about a week. Sorry, Killer Kev. That is more A's. Dashing off to Dubai. I think our flight's about 5 to 1. So if anyone happens to be at Heathrow Airport, Terminal 5 at 5 to 1, you can wave us off tomorrow on our way to Dubai. So that'll be a big change in the weather, because I think it's about 32 there right now. And a bit drier than it is here. And I'll just say, I've got a super chat from Lael, I hope I said that right, for $5. Mr. Sensible, hello, welcome back on this beautiful, flat extended plane. Well, I really appreciate the super chat. I think you perhaps need to do your own research on that, though, about the flat plane. But thank you very much for the super chat, appreciate it, Lael. So is it Grandad S or Grandpa? It's Pops. I don't like Grandad, I don't like Grandpa. I didn't really know what to do. My family, I only met I didn't see either grandparents on my mother's side, and I only saw my grandfather on my father's side once when I was about 7 years old, because they were living in Hungary, and then he died a year or two later before we went back again. I saw my grandmother on 3 trips. So I never really had that grandparents thing going on in my life. My wife did, because her grandparents sort of died after I knew her. yeah, so I've never really had that, and the whole thing with granddad and grandpa, I've got nothing against it, just didn't sort of sit right with me. So they were all coming up with different things. They come up with pops. So yeah, I'm cool with that. So we go with that. Papaw, says Rick. Grumpy Gramps. Yeah, Grumpy was suggested a couple times. But thank you. Oh, Crafty Keeler, hello. Congratulations on your first grandchild, Mr. Sensible Life. Crafty Keeler, not seen you around for an age. I hope you're doing well. Oh, blimey. Brian Pop Robson had 8 grandchildren and respective parents over for dinner on Monday. I still haven't recovered. Well, I'm not surprised, because that's an awful lot to eat. And did you roast them or what? I don't know. Grandpappy, yeah, that's another one. There's lots of them, isn't there? Oh, what's happened there? Sorry. Yeah. Right, so yeah, there's been all this going on, keeping me busy, and then with a grandchild and getting that organised. And yeah, so we're going tomorrow. I'm staying for 8 days. Mrs. S is actually staying for 29. So I guess I'll be living on fast food. And I am skirting around this really. And it's time to be serious, really. It's my serious face. No, I seriously do to share this. I've had something happen a little while back at my work. I don't talk about my work. I can't talk about my work, and I don't want to talk about my work really. Other than people know that I work sort of a random sort of shift pattern, which, as we said, makes things awkward. Recently, there was an incident, and it involved a death. It wasn't a death like someone just had a heart attack and died, which is very sad and can be a shock and everything. This was a particularly horrible death. And how do I put this? I was involved in the situation. And it really knocked me for 6, big time. I've been off work to enable me to sort of process it and for my mental health and well-being. But it's affected me, and it's affected me badly. This is the first. I think I commented on one person's video recently, and I've not produced anything. I've not done any community posts for a little while. And this has involved me having flashbacks. It really preying on my mind. Not being able to sleep. I mean, one night I woke up about 7 or 8 times. You think that's terrible? Yeah, 7 or 8 times. Then I finally gave up trying to sleep, and I got up at about 3:30 in the morning. So it's really, really affected me badly. So I've just not been doing anything else. Like I said, I can't really talk about my work, so I can't really discuss how this death was involved. Nothing was anybody's fault. There's no issues like that. No one's in trouble or anything like that. It's just really horrible. Really, really horrible. And that's it, really. So as you can imagine, I've been off work for a while. I've now just started 2 weeks leave, which was pre-booked, so that we could go to Dubai. So I'm hoping that time period away, and obviously seeing the grandchild, will be enough to sort of take my mind off it, if you like. I have been getting better, thinking about it less. Sleep is improving, but neither is brilliant. Now Pinion says, I can relate to this. In the beginning of March when my employees died, suicide has affected me deeply as well. Hang in there, man. Thank you. Now, yeah. Pincho, I don't discuss my job, I'm afraid. Yeah. I mean, as they say, shit happens. But it was not really what you want at all. So, I don't know if anyone wants to jump in for a chat. We're not going to hum and ha over who killed who about this. I just did want to share it as much as I'm able to, partly because I think that's good. I see the nice comments I'm getting, which I appreciate, and it will also give a bit of an explanation as far as I'm able to with regard to what's been happening, you know. When I'm in Dubai, whether I do any videos, I'm not sure. I mean, last time I did the Burj Al Khalifa, which was a wonderful experience. Not sure what I'll be doing. I'll keep an eye out in case there's a video that could be of interest. We shall see. Oh, Purple saying there's lots of numbers to ring in the middle of the night. They really do help. That's right. I mean, there are some Samaritans and others. I haven't rung any of those, but I have been interacting with in fact, two different welfare services that one provided directly by my work and the other paid for, an independent one paid for by my work, and I've been interacting with both of them. I've had horrible things happen before. I never needed that. Never knocked it, but never wanted or needed it. This time I absolutely knew that I needed it and I asked for it. So I'm not afraid to ask, and I was not afraid to make those phone calls, and I was totally happy to do it. Okay. Right. So what I do have, if no one's going to be brave enough to jump in, is I did find a video, because there hasn't been many flat earth videos of note lately. It's all gone rather quiet. We got Mr. Nathan Oakley spouting his normal rubbish, having his daily shout, mute and boot sessions, and as someone keeps pointing out to him, and it's not me, Nate, he's doing all this and all this e-begging for around 1,000 views a live stream. Oh, Brian says, my job revolves around death, but even after all these years, when it's more personal, it's hard to come to terms with. Yeah, it is. And I've come across death before. You tend to as you get older. It's just that this was not ordinary. Not ordinary at all. My mum bakes cakes, said about Bob passing on. I did see someone else asking about Bob. Yeah, apparently Bob Nodell has passed away. Last I heard, no cause of death has been shared. So, don't know what that's about. But how very sad. So, I'm sure that Bob's family aren't watching this stream, but my thoughts are with them anyway. I mean, Bob might have been on the other side of these debates, discussions, videos, and Mickey taking, but of course, still wouldn't wish that on him, of course. Thank you, Purple. Appreciate that. Oh gosh. TGK2, found my brother dead in the toilet at the end of 21, and my dad passed of cancer 6 months later. Still not got over it. I'm not surprised, TGK. Not surprised. But, as someone else had pointed out, take any help you can get. I'm not sure where you are in the world, and I'm not asking, but I know there's certainly services here in the UK. Avail yourselves of them. If you need to, or see your GP. Right, so Charlie says, of course, a few flirts are saying that Bob's death is fake. Yeah. What happened to your other channel? Well, both channels are there. This is the live channel, where I'm on it live-ish, and live and without sound often. The other channel's the channel for videos. So nothing's happened to it. It's still there. Mr. Sensible is there. And any vids I do go onto that channel. Yes, let me just... the stream has a lot of dead. Yeah. So, well, Tusk has just said, did you see over Easter a new mummy was found surrounded in nuts and chocolate? They're calling it Pharaoh Rocher. Oh dear. That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you for that, Tusk. Made me laugh. Yes, so I did find a video, no less. It's actually, because I've said I've not been doing much, it's actually a couple of weeks old. 4 weeks old, I was just looking, by none other than Brian's Logic. And I was just having a poke around earlier on, just seeing what was happening in Flurf World. I didn't realise it was 4 weeks old, but it made me chuckle, because Brian goes along his normal path of totally misunderstanding and getting everything wrong in a nice Irish accent with a lot of coffee. He could do the glass of water. Mr. Sensible, counting your channels, I'm counting to 4. No, 3 is the number of the counting. The number of the counting shall be 3. 4 is right out. It's Gary Wybenger in the chat. Hello. Oh, Gary says... Gary says Bob died from complications from enlarged heart according to his wife. I have no idea if that's the case or not, Gary. If you're in I don't know if you're in contact with his wife or you're anywhere where his wife is on social media. I'm not the only flat earth debunker who has making comments, passing on condolences. So please do pass them on from the community at large. I'm sure that, all joking aside, I'm sure that 99.99% of people will be feeling sympathy for her. Of course. Oh, the other one where I made terrariums. Yeah, do you know what, Avi? That was quite a while ago. I've still got the terrariums. And the pond one, the first one, is bursting with life. Mrs. S keeps saying, get rid of that horrible thing. But it's got life. It's life, Jim, but not as we know it. Winter Wolf, catching my first live. Hello, everyone. So you're a Mr. Sensible live stream virgin. Well, it's been a little while since the last one, Winter. I hope you enjoy it. There's plenty of others in the back catalogue. Oh, right, that's what she told on Gerrans. Okay, thank you, Gary. Yeah, very, very sad. One of those things out the blue, isn't it? As it so often is. So I found a Brian's Logic video, and I thought it might be worth a look at it, because. Sorry, what's this? Yeah. I thought it might be worth a look because I couldn't believe how much Brian got wrong. It's entitled Sextant Pendulum Swing Creates Perpendicular. And right from the start I was thinking, he's going to get this wrong. He's got to get this wrong. It's his raison d'etre. It's to get things wrong. And I thought we could have a look at it, because this won't be the longest of live streams, because I'm off to Dubai tomorrow. Yeah. So I don't know who else we've got come in. Oh, there's Rick is in there. Hello, Rick. Charlie Welch. I did say hello to just about everyone when we started, but you're all going to say, I didn't hear you say it. Well, there we go. Right, so let's have pretty safe bet. Let's have a look at what he's got to say. I'll just pause it every now and then. Some of the text is very, very small. Yes, that's right, Murph. Rocking the sextant, shooting the sun. That's correct. Well, that's how he starts off, and he gets that wrong. So let's have a listen to him.
Well, how are you doing? Okay, this is going to be hopefully not that long of a video about the sextant swing and what
Well, that's a good start, isn't it? If it's hopefully not that long a video.
the point of it is. Okay, as you know, when they're taking an angle between the horizon and the let's say the sun, let's just say, right? What they want to do is they want to bring the sun to meet the horizon.
Well, first point, he's got it right. When you use the sextant with the mirror, you adjust the mirror so the image of the sun superimposes and you bring it down. Good so far, Brian. I'm impressed.
That's how it works with the index and horizon mirror. The intention is to bring the sun down to meet the horizon, and that gives them their starting point, right?
Well, it gives you your raw angle of elevation, but carry on.
After whatever corrections, the small corrections they need to do, or calibrations they need to do with the sextant, that's kind of where they go to next, right?
So he's talking about dip correction, any corrections for refraction, and so on. Wow.
What this is this, right? So the whole point of this is they're swinging the sextant, right, till they get to this, right? That's a straight line out, right, with another straight line across the horizon.
And he's got it wrong. That's not why they rock the sextant like that. He has no idea, does he? If you... I'll just take this opportunity. Now, Opinion super chatted 65 sec. No sex dance tonight. Have you seen the latest Life of Brian sequel, by the way? It's called The Life of Brian, and it's gooder than ever. Gosh. Now, that's terrible. That's a terrible joke, and you paid to share that. Thank you. What they're trying to do here is you're trying to measure the angle between in this case, the sun and the horizon. And you read that angle off the sextant. But you need to make sure that you're holding the sextant absolutely vertical. If you're holding it like that, you're going to get a much wider angle than if you're holding it like that, above the horizon. So if you take adjust it so it's just touching the horizon, if you're holding it perfectly vertical, as soon as you turn it either side, it will lift off the horizon. If, however, you turn it and it then goes below the horizon, then you were looking at one of the offset off vertical. So in his example, if the angle of your sextant was like that, lining up with the left or the right sun, and it was down on the horizon, when you swing it, it will dip below the horizon. Therefore, you were reading too big an angle. So you keep swinging and making adjustments until at the bottom of the swing, it just touches. It's simple because that's the smallest angle. It's the shortest vertical distance between the horizon and the sun. I mean, he's got the sun a certain distance from the horizon, and as you swing it to the left or right, as you can see, it lifts up each side. Therefore, when it's in the centre and it's just touching the horizon, that means you have the correct angle. That's the only reason they do it, Brian. It's simple. Carry on.
So at this point, they say mark. Now, if it's a pretty big ship, they're going to have a navigator and an assistant.
Yeah, I know Brian's volume is low. It's on maximum, and the desktop audio is on maximum. He's just very quiet. Sorry about that, guys.
Right, mark. When they say mark, the assistant registers the time. They already know the star or whatever, the sun or whatever. They already know what they're looking at, so they just need the time and the angle at that exact point.
Yes, they do. The time, because if you know it's a particular star, at that time, looking up in the almanac, you can find out where its GP is. So we got an angle and a time to look up a star's position, which is basically all we need, barring those minor corrections.
But what they have at this point is they have the zenith, right, from the GP point to the celestial body.
No. You cannot see the GP. If that sun was at 45 degrees, that means the GP of the sun is 1/8 of the way away from you around the Earth. 45 degrees around a curve. You ain't going to see that GP, and you don't need to see that GP. All you want to do is find how far the sun is off your vertical. By taking how far it is above the horizon, allowing for dip, etc., deducting it from 90, and then multiplying it by 60 to get your distance in nautical miles from whatever the figure is in the almanac when you look it up.
Or the nadir, well, it's not really a nadir, from the celestial body down to its GP. So this is a straight line straight down, and it's meeting horizontal here. So you have a vertical and horizontal, which means
we're not worried about any horizontal side to side, Brian. All we're worried about is how far that sun is above horizontal from you towards the vertical below. And you've established the vertical by swinging to get the smallest angle, which will coincide with the horizon. That's it.
means you have two 90-degree angles here and here. Right?
Don't need them.
But you also have, with the line that will be coming out from where you are, will also be making a 90 degrees here. Right, so and another 90 degrees back at the observer. But you don't have all that exactly yet. You have basically this, right? But you don't have it all exactly yet. So this is where this leads to. Right.
Here we go. Here we go. So I don't know if you can see that, but over here, that's your observer's position. This is the angle we're measuring between the observer's light, the observer's eye, the sextant, and in this case the sun. It's the angle of the sun above the horizon. Note that observer has height. It could be that the observer's in the crow's nest or whatever on a ship, but also there's dip because the horizon, the sea is dipping away from you, giving you a bigger angle than you should have. That's why you correct it. So in this case, you would actually correct and take a horizontal across, and it's the angle between that horizontal and the line to the sun. So you deduct it, because if your horizontal is across to here, then the angle between B and D up there is too big. So you're going to deduct the angle from your horizontal down to B. But I bet you don't do that, do you, Brian?
This leads to you having, there's the sun, there's the observer, right? This is the zenith from the GP point, which is here, to the sun or star, right?
No, because we don't see the GP. That point B is the horizon, the furthest point you can see.
And this is the observer's zenith, but they don't have a correct zenith yet, a correct perpendicular yet here, because they haven't done height of void correction. So what they've gotten is this much, right? This zenith here, let's call it zenith 1. They have zenith 2. They also have a co-altitude, but they don't have a zenith distance yet because they have to correct. And even at that, their co-altitude is not going to be correct because they have to correct for height of void. So once they correct down for height of void, let's say it right, make that down there. Once they correct down for height of void, they then have a co-altitude, right, which is a minutes of degree reading.
What a load of word salad. Let me just take that back a bit and see what you did with your correction. Where is it? Oh, it's not updating now, is it? Come on.
Yes. Correct.
I'll just mute him a second. Yeah. So he's got the angle, and what he's going to do is he's going to bring the observer down to sea level. Go on, do it, Brian. Do it, Brian. which is not what you do. You don't bring yourself down. You bring the angle up, if you like. You deduct. You make the angle smaller. And there you go. It's wrong, Brian. That's not what they do. Because you're working with a flat earth, you get funny angles. But if you were working with a globe, which is what we live on, you will have an angle that's too big. You have to deduct. Because you've got horizontal, the horizon is lower. So the angle between the horizon and the sun is too big. So you deduct it by bringing the horizon up to horizontal. You deduct it from the angle you've measured. Is Brian one of the 20 smartest people on the globe? Asking for PhD Tony. Cracker Tony. Cracker Tony. Oh, hello, Colon. Hello. Hello. Hope you're all right. And Mrs. Colon is okay as well. Let's carry on. I'm not sure where he got to.
They then have a co-altitude, right, which is minutes of degree reading, that they can convert into nautical miles as a zenith distance between the observer and the GP point underneath the celestial body. So this is the kind of original, this position that they get from the sextant swing. This gives them a perpendicular. So the horizon needs to be a horizontal line.
We don't get a perpendicular. That swinging is just to make sure that you're measuring perpendicular between the sun and the horizon, making that angle as small as possible. Then you make it even smaller by deducting dip and observer height, etc.
For this straight line down to be perpendicular with it, right? So this is what they're looking for. And the reason, obviously, as I showed, is because
you don't have any bloody idea, do you?
Once they do the height of height correction, they end up with this. It's like a rectangle or a box, right? That's what they end up with. Now, there's a problem.
Oh yes, there's a problem. Wait till you see this.
On the globe, this can't work, right? And this is why. Because when they have, right, let's say, for a start, right, but to do height of height on the globe, you can't. Right, if you're going to use the globe surface, it can't be done. But you can't get an angle off that surface, and you can't do height of height correction.
You're not getting an angle off the surface. You can use a bubble sextant. You can have any way of establishing a horizontal. With a bubble sextant, you're just reading the angle from the sun off of the vertical. Bang! You don't do any corrections. You don't allow for dip or eye height or anything like that. And in this case, you've got the observer at J, who'll be looking down to the horizon somewhere over here, deducting the angle, or deducting from the angle to make it horizontal from your observer height. And that gives you an angle which you can then deduct from 90 degrees horizontal to the vertical. Bang! You've got your co-altitude angle multiplied by 60, and you've got your distance. Then all you need to know is, well, where the hell is that distance from?
Because you bring down your height of height, and the horizon, which is out here, right, for the person, is lower than the water underneath the boat. So you can't do it.
Yes, you deduct it, Brian.
Right? So the second problem you have is this line here is a straight down line.
What the hell are you talking about? I'm just checking. You can see this on screen. So he's got the sun up here. Now we're stood here. Of course, with a flirt, he can't imagine being stood anywhere other than the, quote, top of the ball. But we happen to be stood here. There's our zenith is above us. So the star is at this angle from us. So the zenith is... No, that's not how it works, Brian. The zenith is that way for the sun. There's the star's GP. There, not there. You're thinking up here is up, and down here is down. No, down is to the centre of the ball. It's going out in every direction. So, bearing in mind you can't even understand a GP, this does not bode well. And your problem here is, Brian, you've got a star that is extremely local. A star is an immense even the sun, the nearest star, is 93 million miles away. Its light is orbit parallel, which means you've got light streaming straight down there to K, which is where you've got the GP, but the light comes here as well to you. The same angle. It's parallel. That's why it works. That's why it doesn't work on a flat Earth. And because you've got the star really local, all these angles won't work. Why don't you draw a few more random lines?
From the celestial body to the GP point. Now, in reality, the GP point would be here, right? But if you do the same process on the globe, it ends up with their GP point being down here.
The GP point is not there. The GP is the geographical position. That's where the sun is directly overhead to an observer. It's here. So if you were stood here, well, you're over here. If Fred is stood over here, then directly over his head is the sun. He is stood at the sun's GP. It's not over here. What are you talking about, Brian?
Which is crazy, right? Because even if they did a height of eye correction here, right, even if they could do it, right, and just, right, they'd have a straight line out from here, which would have nothing to do with their curved surface, right? Right, and this arc distance here would be supposed to match the distance between M and L here.
No, Brian. All you're doing is establishing this angle here between line of sight to the sun and horizontal. We haven't got a horizontal. We've got a slightly less than horizontal. So we measure the angle from the star to the slightly less than horizontal, deduct it to give the angle from horizontal. So let's say in this case, that's 30 degrees. You then deduct that 30 degrees from the 90. The 90 is between the horizontal and your vertical, your zenith. That gives you 60. 60 degrees off a vertical. So the sun, since the light is coming parallel, if it's 60 degrees off a vertical, you are 60 degrees around a circle. Since we know how big the circle is, we know how far it is. Since we know where the sun is in the nautical almanac at that date and time, we know now that we're X distance from that point, which is a circle, because you could be anywhere around that circle. You don't know the direction, just that you're that far from that GP point, which is why you need more than one reading if you're reading from stars. I don't know why they don't get it. I really don't. I can understand if they disagree with it, but they don't get it. They're making the wrong arguments. I mean, all this business here with a GP over here, what the hell is he talking about? No one's claiming that. It's his lack of understanding of a globe.
It's ridiculous. It can't work, right?
No, Brian, it can't work because you're doing it wrong.
Now, what they could try and claim is this line here. Just make it a little bit thicker. So bring it up to.
Oh, thicker is good, Brian.
Right, because this is what it should be. This is the GP point of, let's say, the sun or star on the globe. It
Well done, Brian. Well done. And what are you going to do with it?
has to be on their surface, and it has to be meeting at their centre, at the centre of their globe.
Yep.
Right. They might try and say, well, that is your straight line, right? Right, and they might try and say, we just bring out a tangent plane. Now, you can't use a tangent plane because the horizon must be in horizontal with the water underneath the boat to do your height of eye correction. Right, that is just a requirement. Right, it has to be. They have to make a complete horizontal between the observer GP point or horizon, or observer horizon, and then onto the GP point. It has to be one horizontal line. But if
No, it doesn't, Brian. You do not need the GP to be on that horizontal. Not at all. You've got this line of light coming from the sun down to its GP. Directly below it. At that point, the sun is at zenith. But the sun isn't here at an angle like that to you. It's the rays of light are coming down at the same angle with regard to the centre of the Earth there. If the Earth was flat, then that sun would be at the same angle for everybody. It's 93 million miles away. So if you're on one side of the Earth, if the sun was at 60 degrees, then it would be at 60 degrees on the other side of the flat plane. It's 93 million miles away.
If you try to do it this way on a globe, right, and ignore your actual globe's horizon, right, and remember from my last video and other videos I've made, they have a refracted horizon, so they can't do any of this. But
yes, you allow for refraction, Brian. Or you could use an artificial horizon, so you don't need to see the physical horizon at all. All you're doing is you'd measure between the sun and the reflection of the sun and half the angle, which is horizontal. You don't need to worry about refraction. You don't need to worry about dip correction. You could do that at the top of a mountain. You don't need any of this crap. You certainly don't have a box like this.
At the moment, we'll just go with their geometric horizon that doesn't exist for this, right? So, but it wouldn't matter even if you have a refracted globe's horizon here, because their refracted horizon is always going to be underneath this horizontal line. So it'll always be...
No, a refracted horizon could be above it. Have you never heard of the black swan, Brian?
Be lower than the water underneath their boat. So it'll never work. It'll always be a disaster. It's never going to work. It's impossible, right? So can't do either way. But if you brought it down to here and brought a direct straight line out from there, they might try and say, well, the line you're looking at is actually degreed inward, right?
Degreed inward.
But no, because this here is your co-altitude. So that means your zenith distance must match your co-altitude. Now,
no, Brian. There's your angle of elevation. That is your co-altitude. You just deduct that, in this, let's say it's 30, from this 90, gives you 60, i.e. the sun is 60 degrees off of your zenith. That's all you want to know. Think of it as if it was 90 degrees. Take your ball, if it was 90 degrees. So you've got someone at the North Pole, and they're looking, and the sun is exactly on the horizon. It's over the equator at 90 degrees. So you're getting an elevation angle of 0, deduct that from 90, gives you 90. So you're a quarter of the way around the circle, which is where the equator is. Funny, that.
Do you think this curved arc here would match that line there? No, it wouldn't. You won't curve this arc and it'll be about here, if you're looking.
You're not measuring a distance. You're measuring an angle and then calculating. In that example, 90, it's 90 times 60 to give you your, or is it 90 times 60 times 60? Whatever. But to give you a distance quarter of the way around the Earth in nautical miles. It's minutes of arc around a curve. Minutes of arc, Brian. Arc.
Okay. Right. So you will always be wrong. None of this works on a globe. You have to do all the things you have to do correctly for a proper measurement in reality. And once you do it in reality, which ends up looking like this from an orthographic side.
No, it doesn't, Brian. And if this was reality and you've done your sky miles, whatever it is you do, and you've got your angle and you've decided that you're X distance from B, that means you know the height of the star. Doesn't work. And if you were twice the distance, you should have half the angle. But it doesn't work, does it, Brian? Which is why nobody can produce those charts for angles to Polaris, giving equal distances. We've seen Flatzoid do it. We saw, what's his name? Mitchell from Bitchmade from Australia, who's run away now. He tried to do it and then just claimed a win. And he had the star in multiple places. It doesn't work on a flat Earth, Brian.
side-on point of view, which we're not doing because it's all perspective measurement. Once you complete this here, right, and you have your measurement, then if you want, mathematically, you can bring it into the center of a mathematical globe and you can measure what you're claiming to be an arc length, which is actually just horizontal zenith distance, and go from there and do what you want, make up anything you want. And
you're lost at sea, mate. You're lost because you couldn't calculate anything in the way you're talking about. And I did see someone had put a comment in this video saying, why hasn't a single flat earther done this? Why haven't they used or even explained with the math how you can get a distance?
You can hijack the celestial sphere model all day long, even though it's not a sphere. It's only based off a protractor, and protractors are based off perspective. That's what's going on here. So what's actually going on is this is reality up here, right? This here, right? You get this in reality, right? And this gives you this after height of void correction, right? The thing you can't do on the globe. And then after you've done that, you can pretend that you're on a globe.
I'm just going to go back a bit.
Height of void correction.
If you used this method, saying that it's 30 degrees to the sun there, it's GP, that gives you the distance. I don't even know how it would work on a flat Earth. If this wasn't the sun, if it was another star, then you don't know how far this star is. And for instance, with the sun, you say it's 93 million miles away. That's the distance we're talking about. So if it's, let's say, half of 93 million miles away, that close, your distance from the GP is going to be different. It doesn't work, Brian. I'd love to actually go sit in a room with him and go through it. And I'm not a navigator, but I understand the general principles of what they're doing, which Brian doesn't.
Right? The thing you can't do on the globe. And then after you've done that, you can pretend that you're on a globe. If you want, you can pretend. Just like you can with other things. You can, once you've gotten past the reality, you can then use maths and pretend to yourself you're on the globe, when in reality you're actually not on the globe. You're on a horizontal flat plane. Well, elevation changes because that's reality. There you go. There's no way around it. They can't do this. The whole point of this here, kissing the horizon with the lower limb of the celestial body,
is just to get the most accurate reading of the angle between the sun and the horizon, which is below horizontal, Brian. So deduct a little bit because of that dip correction, and allow for refraction, allow for observer height, and that then gives you an accurate angle of that sun above horizontal, which perhaps is actually somewhere around there. So if that's where horizontal is, you have to deduct that extra bit of angle because you're working with a horizon which is below horizontal.
The whole point of that is to create a perpendicular, so you can go on to create this after your height of void correction. But on the globe you can't do on the globe you can't do any of those things because it's got a curved surface and the whole thing is crazy and wrong and none of it works. In reality, none of the measurements work. They all have to be measured in reality on a horizontal plane. With your another thing, that you get your parallel zeniths. That's another thing. You end up with two parallel zeniths.
No, we don't, Brian. They're not parallel. Looking at your diagram down here, there's the zenith for the observer. There's the zenith for the sun, to its GP. They meet in the centre of the Earth. They're at an angle. That angle is the angle you're trying to find. How far around that curve you are from the GP. So, in fact, the line of sight from the observer to the sun isn't there. It's that direction would be the same as that direction because the light is parallel. So the angle that's over here will be the same as the angle here, and you can see how far around the circle you've gone. If that ends up being 45 degrees, you come 1/8 of the way around the Earth. If it's 90, you're 1/4. If it's 1 degree, you're 1/360th. Oh, those all sound very circular to me, Brian.
The zenith of the observer and the zenith from the GP point, the celestial body, are parallel. That's why you can have your co-altitude, and that matches your zenith distance because you're using a right angle triangle.
Hold on, your zenith angle matches your distance. No, in this case, if we're talking 30 and 60, so your angle's 60, that's a distance, is it? It's not. It's a proportion of the distance around the globe, which we call nautical miles. That's all it is. And since we know how big the globe is, we know on the ground how far it is. And what's happened to your D to F sky miles? You seem to have dropped that fiasco.
Actually, two of them, one here and one here. But people deny that this is happening because
it's not.
They don't want to accept that it is. It's very difficult for some people. Very, very difficult. They have a lot of hardship in the future because they can't let go of a belief. But hey, if you want to measure everything in reality on a horizontal plane and then use your belief to try and make it out to be a globe if you add maths, that's on you. But this part here that you need can't be denied.
I deny it, because you don't know what you're talking about, Brian. That is a load of utter dingo's kidneys. If the Earth was flat, then just taking that angular measurement is not going to tell you anything, because you don't know how far away the star is, you don't know where it's cheap. It's just utter crap, Brian. It really is. I even toyed with the idea of getting a sextant, but if I did and successfully used it, no one, or none one of these flirts would suddenly say, oh, do you know what, he's right. They wouldn't. My daughter was asking the other day, she said, why don't they send whoever the leading flat earther is up into space? I said, well, why? So that they know. I said, okay, so we spend millions of dollars launching this flat earther up into space, and let's say he's an honest flat earther who will accept the evidence. There's not many of those. So 40 months of sensible, here's 40 more. Cheers, says Pat in the chat. Thank you, Pat. So you spend these millions of dollars, you send that flat earther up. That flat earther then realises that it is vacuum and not whatever it is Nathan Oakley claims. He realises that the Earth seems to be a globe. I can see the circle of the Earth. I'm convinced. The globe is correct. He comes back to Earth. What does he say? He says on his Flat Earth YouTube channel, hey guys, we were wrong. I've been up there. And look, I've taken these photographs. I've taken this video. Here's my witness testimony. It's a globe. And what do you think's going to happen? All the others are going to call him a shill and say he's been paid off and carry on believing in Flat Earth. Sad. Really sad. There we go. That's where we are, though. So do feel free to check out Brian's Logic channel. I'll pop a link to his video. I think that's only polite. So have a read of that. Is the whole video. I think there's about 1 second left, and I doubt he was going to come up with any pearl of wisdom in the last second. Very much doubt it. They could prove it by sending someone on an Antarctic cruise. Well, there's another option, Drebin. Isn't there money up for grabs for someone using flat Earth maths to find a point on Earth from sextant measurements? Yes, MC Toon has a sextant challenge. I think his was a $10,000 challenge, and that money is in escrow, so he can't touch it. They have to, I guess check out MC Toon. I'm sure it's on his website as well, mctoon.net. I think they have to. It's a while since I looked at it. I think if they got to measure three to 3 stars and come up with the right position, something like that, and show the flat Earth maths. And Pat in the chat, $5. Hi, Gary Krybenger. I miss your totally coherent arguments. Thinking of you. Oh, Gary, he's having a pop at you. I just realised, Pat, your avatar. Yeah, I felt like doing that with Brian when I saw that video. So, there we go. Now, what has happened with all the flat earthers? As I said, Nathan Oakley's just pumping out Nathan Oakley. He did some more e-begging. Oh, yeah. Excuse me. Oh, sorry. That's that lack of sleep I've been talking about. When I comment on Nathan's videos, which I do time to time, I don't watch the videos. I just read some of the comments, see what they're talking about, and point out why they're wrong. Nathan always goes on about me and my charity channel. My charity channel. And if you're wondering which one that is, that's my main Mr. Sensible channel. It's the channel that Baldy Cats passed over to me, which I'm now using as my channel for videos. So he keeps ripping into me saying it's charity. And so I always respond about his e-begging, where he's begged for money for an exhaust for his car. He's begged for money for all his sound insulation in his living room studio, and begged for money for repairs to his speakers that he uses when he live streams. These speakers were worth several £1,000s each, I think. And they needed some money to... One of them were broken. You don't need that. I mean, I monitor using these headphones which cost, I don't know, £25. You could have just a little speaker. You could certainly spend more on better headphones if you wanted to check the sound. You don't need thousands of pounds worth of hi-fi speakers. But be that as it may, he's always begging, and he's done some more e-begging again recently. But he was saying that he does it because someone said he's poor, and he said that's right. You know, having a pop at a poor person, that's not right. And Nathan, get a job. Get a job. I mean, not being funny, it would be more honest to go and stack shelves in Tesco's, or to, I don't know. But there's 1,001 jobs you could do that would mean you earn a damn sight more money for your family than you do with your Flat Earth Debate channel. Sorry, my chat got stuck. MC2, never heard of him. Connie Thunder says, Mr. Sensible, here's one I came across. If the world is spinning so fast, if a plane lifts off, why do they have to fly? Surely the plane could just land after seconds in the air. Yeah, Connie, I've heard that. And they talk about helicopters as well. They're forgetting conservation of momentum and the fact that they're flying in the air, which is rotating with the Earth. But you try and tell them, they won't believe you. Won't believe you at all. Pat in the chat, it's my expression hearing every flat earth argument ever. Yes. Did I get the DM? I've actually got a couple of DMs. I wasn't looking. Let's have a look. Yes, I did mention that, yes, about Bob Nadell. And if anyone's joining us who wasn't in here earlier and hasn't heard the news, Flat Earther Bob Nadell, he of the 15 degrees per hour, thanks Bob fame, has unfortunately passed away. Gary said it was something to do with his heart. I don't know. I can't really comment on that. But he's passed away. That has, as far as I'm aware, been confirmed. And I pass on, I'm sure many other people do, pass on condolences to Bob's family. I see I've got a couple of other DMs from someone. I won't mention the name. I'll have a look at that later. Thank you. Vadim Slomovsky Radchenko. Excuse me. I always say it's not about how much you earn, it's how much you spend. Burning K's for headphones and crap will always keep one poor. Absolutely. You know, you've got to cut your cloth to fit your means or whatever. And I mean, my sound is not studio quality, but I like to think, apart from the rain through the roof and the aircon unit, I like to think that the sound quality, and I'm not a sound engineer by any stretch of the imagination, it's perfectly listenable to. I don't have to pad out my entire living room with X £1,000 worth of egg cartons and sponge and crap like that, and have several £1,000s worth of speakers, and then do a live stream and get 1,000 views, and perhaps let I don't know how much he's earning from the ads on his streams, but if he got 20 quid, I'd be surprised. So it's not really a wise investment. Talking of which, investment news. I was thinking about this the other day. I'm going to make a top tip for any of you. If you've noticed that nowadays more and more cars have built-in antennas for the radio, yeah. So you haven't got a sticky up thing on the top of the car anymore. It's built in over the rear screen or whatever. So if you're heavily invested, this is my top tip. Excuse me, I'm dribbling with excitement. If you're heavily invested in those mega corporations who make these little ping pong ball things that go on the top of aerials, I suggest you sell your shares and get out quick, because the market's going to collapse. There'll be no more ping pong ball things to go on the top of aerials if everyone's got a built-in aerial. You can thank me later. Yes, sorry, Vadim was saying it's not about how much you earn. No, it isn't. There is nothing wrong with someone stacking shelves in Tesco's. I mean that most sincerely, folks. Or working in McDonald's or whatever. There is work, for the vast majority of people, there is work available if you're willing to do it. And Nathan's sitting at home doing his YouTube. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to earn a bit of extra money, a little bit of extra money, Nathan, on the side, that's fine. If your channel suddenly blows up and you end up with 500,000 subs, pulling in 100,000 views a video, then give up your day job and take that up full time. But I suggest what you've got right now ain't gonna cut it. What was that? The Snark. Hello, Snark. Just super chatty, thank you, my friend. Surprise, Patricia Steer still has her channel, 4,500 subs or so, and no videos at all. Wow, that's a top tip from the Snark. Nathan, produce no videos at all. You might even do better than you are doing right now. Aren't cars' antennas actually their bodies? Now, that might be, Vadim. I know very little of such things. Yeah, it doesn't cover the vintage car industry. Yeah, but if you've got an old vintage car, let's say like a little MG sports car, are you going to want a little ping pong ball thing stuck on your aerial? Wasn't it Homer Simpson who said that they're brilliant? It means you can find your car in a big car park. Why doesn't everyone use them? Think about it. Very clever man. Very clever, Homer Simpson is. And like I said to my missus, I swear I never would have done it if I'd have thought you'd have found out. Yeah. Haven't seen an antenna ball in years. Well, I did see one just the other day, which is what made me think of my top investment tip. Yeah, aerials, try getting a wire coat hanger these days. That's right, stating the obvious. And that is stating the obvious. My first cut, I actually did do that. My antenna was busted. I used a coat hanger, pulled it out into a diamond shape, and it worked brilliantly. Brilliantly. Maybe I should start selling fake antennas to put the ping pong balls on. Wow, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And then you can invest in both industries, corner the market. Fake antennas for the ping pong balls for the fake antennas. I like it. I really do. I had, I think I might have discussed it before. I had a business idea. You get this artificial meat, like bacon and corn and all this sort of stuff, which is hideously expensive for all these vegetarian peoples. It's more expensive than meat. So I'm going to make artificial meat, and I'm going to make it from real meat, so the ingredients cheaper, and it will taste just like real meat because it is real meat. I'm going to coin it in. Dogwalker says, no, you can't use the body as an antenna. They use the rear window demister. I'm not sure. Ping pong ball thing. Don't you know what the ping pong ball thing is, Pat, in the chat? You see them occasionally. Very occasionally. Joe Whip says, I own a Tesla and couldn't care less. Is that because it doesn't work? The radio doesn't work. Or is your battery gone flat, Joe? Sorry, pal. Sorry. my old RS 1600 twice turned the radio on when in the car wash. Bye bye auto antenna. Oh yeah, that would do it. That would do it. Get Team Skeptic to say antenna. Right, I'm going to make a little political joke. Now, I follow quite a few of the politicians, American politicians, because I'm enjoying is the wrong word, but I can't believe all the tussles between the two sides. That's by the by. But one of them is, what's her name? I've forgotten her first name. Bobert. Her second name, Bobert. And there was a meme photo posted. It says, I bought a TV. It says built-in antenna. I don't even know where antenna is. By American. Don't want it built-in antenna. Vadim again. Just don't ask what they put in cheap sausages and Worcesters. What are Worcesters? I don't know. Joe Whip says, love my car. Oh, I'm glad you do, Joe. I'll tease about cars. I'd never buy a French car. I know there are some people, especially Frenchies, who do like French cars, and that's fine. That's fine. Whatever floats your boat. Incidentally, guys, many of you will know that I'm rather keen on Land Rovers, and in fact, I've rebuilt one over several years. Spent many pennies on it without running GoFundMes, Nathan. Rather a lot of money. And nearly 3 years rebuilding this Land Rover, which I'm afraid to say, as right now, is been sitting on the drive, feeling sorry for itself, and then the battery died, and I've had other stuff to worry about, so I haven't been able to get on with it. But I had a guy knock on the door. It's happened a couple of times, saying, I'm actually keen on your Land Rover, and we had a nice long chat. He is a bit of a someone who has a bit of an interest in Land Rovers, and was asking me if I was going to sell it. And I said, do you know what? For the right price, I would sell it. So I actually sent him a link to a rebuild thread, 105 pages of step-by-step as I went through rebuilding this from the ground up, and also sent him a document that I send off to the insurers each year that talks about all the changes I made to justify the valuation on it. And, excuse me, he messaged me today saying, well, have you come up with a price? Well, that was really hard, and he's talking about buying it as is. It needs a good clean. It needs one or two little jobs doing on it. So I gave him a figure, and he come back to me and said, that's sort of out of my league, really, sorry. Okay, well, what were you thinking of? And he quoted me a price that was between a quarter and a third of what I was expecting if I was to sell it. And that sale price, I thought, was a good price. No, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Other cars like the C7 Corvette has it built in behind the bumper. Wow, that's great. Unless someone crashes into you when you're listening to the radio, how are you going to listen to it then? Respect, I wanted a Landy too. Well, Connie, it's a 1972 Series 3 short wheelbase. Convert it to a 200 DI. So it's a 200 TDI engine from a Land Rover Discovery without the turbo. So it's direct injection. Diesel injection, yeah. Ping pong ball for the window flags. Oh, window flags. Oh, yes, window. Don't talk to me about window flags, Turtle Moves. Jens Gurka, hopefully I said that right. I had a Landy, but the clutch failed and I couldn't afford the repair. Yes. Yeah. I mean, unless you do it yourself. That's the beauty of a Land Rover. Yeah. I mean, that Land Rover I built with spanners, pliers, a rivet gun, and a few screwdrivers. Okay, and you could take it apart with the same. Well, my Mercedes, which is an older Mercedes, it started getting a problem. If you put your foot down a bit, the engine light can come on, and I think it might be the MAF sensor, the mass airflow sensor. I rang up an independent Mercedes specialist that I use for the servicing. He said, oh yeah, we can plug it into the computer. That'll be 120 quid and we can't do it till mid-May. Brilliant. And I thought, do you know what? It's worth a punt. If I take the sensor out, give it a spray with MAF sensor cleaner. If it solves it, it solved it. If not, I've lost a tenner. So I've not really done anything on this Mercedes. So I went out there, and of course, what do you get under the bonnet? A sheet of plastic. Nice looking grey plastic. And I found out just pops off. Cracking job. Look, there's the MAF sensor. 2 fittings to undo it. 2 bolts, undo them, pull the sensor out. Yeah, that'd be too easy, wouldn't it? They're security bolts, not ordinary hex head bolts. Fortunately, I've got a set of security bits. You know, all the funny things you get in all sorts of devices, whether it's clocks or phones or little strange star-shaped sockets and that sort of thing. I've got a complete set. Brilliant. And what is this shape? Oh, it's a star shape with a pin in the middle. So I need a star-shaped socket that's got a hole in the middle. Then I find out that my security bits, standard security bits, have 5-pointed star, and Mercedes have fitted it with a 6-pointed star, so security bits don't work with it, which basically means that I can't undo 2 bolts to slide a sensor out to look at it. Absolutely ridiculous, unless I buy special tools. That is ridiculous. Land Rover, no. You use a hammer, some bad language, and a bandage for your cuts and bruises afterwards, and you can fix it. Yes, biggest doggers. So they are really expensive these days. Tell me about it. Make sure it's secure. They get stolen a lot. Well, yeah, as well as a full disc lock, and the fact that most people actually couldn't even drive the thing because it's got an overdrive and it's got a mechanical accelerator. I've also got a full pedal lock. It's a 1/4-inch steel box that locks around all the pedals, so you literally cannot drive it unless you're willing to spend an hour with an angle grinder, and hopefully one of the neighbours would notice before that happened. But yes, they are very expensive. Mine's not that expensive, but I had a look on Auto Trader before I confirmed the price, just in case the prices had shot up or collapsed before I quoted a price to this guy. And they did vary, obviously according to spec and condition, whatever. Most of them were newer than mine. Mine is a tax exempt one. But there's one of these companies that buy old Land Rovers and supposedly renovate them. But actually what they do is they give it a nice shiny glossy coat of paint, and that's about it. Whereas mine's rebuilt on a galvanised chassis. Even the bulkhead was galvanised. The foot pedals are galvanised, for crying out loud. Anyway, they were asking £38,000 for it. I think that's a tad high. But there we go. Oh, workmate of mine has an A1 Mint Series 1. Oh, they're lovely things, Watto. Absolutely lovely. Good for him. Tell him to keep hold of it. I would love one. Get an OBD2 reader. Demon Orb, that is a possibility. I'm assuming a standard OBD2 reader will do it. I even came across the error code for the MAF sensor. But, I mean, now I know. If I get my OBD2 reader, plug it in, yep, it's come up with the error code. That means the MAF sensor's knackered or dirty. I can't get the old one out because of the security bits. Crazy. Yeah, Purple, I've got a set. I've used them for odds and sods where there's the odd thing that you're not really expecting. I mean, I'm just looking at this. Oh no, I've got an old clock. It's just got crosshead screws on it. But yeah, lots of things with security bits, and that's fine. I understand them. Make your own tools, says Dribbin. If you can center drill a T10 without a drill press, I'd be extremely amazed. What's this then, Marina? People eat anything that moves. Guess where that is? There's some odd conversations going on in here. Vadim says, you remind me about Italian crazes who rebuilt old Fiat 200s with all the original parts. Those are worth more than their weight in gold. Well, I'll tell you what, as part of the rebuild, it wasn't for the clutch housing. I can't remember what it was. It was something around the engine. I wanted to replace the bolts because they were past their best, and I was replacing everything that wasn't A1. And so I ordered this set of bolts, and it wasn't much. There were specific bolts for the job. I don't know what thread they were, whether BSF or BA, or because it's a mix of everything on there, metric as well. Anyway, these bolts arrived in this waxy-looking cardboard box. What the hell? It had the sticker on it, checked by Fred, quality assured check. In 1956, this set of bolts has been sat on a shelf since. I felt guilty opening it up. I really did. And when I opened it up, there was wax-proof paper inside and the whole pack of 6 bolts, I think it was, packed in grease. Absolutely beautiful. 1956. Yeah, one of the things I did, I had to, because I said I changed the engine, I had to modify, I was going to have to modify the exhaust manifold, but the exhaust manifold was really old, and I was just looking through, and there was somewhere selling them, and it wasn't too much, and my missus and the kids were looking for something to get me for my birthday. Oh yes, I had an exhaust manifold. Unobtainium. I bought this manifold, whatever the price was, 150 quid. It was the last one in the country. You cannot get them. I bought the last one, and it's on my Land Rover. So I've actually got the old one as a spare, because I thought that's worth keeping, because you can't get them anymore. But there we go. But this isn't the Land Rover channel. We talked about Brian's Logic. We mentioned Bob Nudell, and had a look at Brian, and I shared my woes, and tonight has made me feel a bit better, I must admit, guys. I've been talking at you. Let me just... Oh, what's this doing? No one came in the live waiting room for a chat. That's all right. That's not a problem. Don't jump in now, because I think I'm going to finish up in just a few minutes, because as I said, off to the airport tomorrow, and Mrs. S wants me to weigh the baggage, and I said I'm sure they'll take you even if you are a little overweight. No, she's lovely, really. I've got to weigh the baggage, and perhaps restack in different cases, possibly military spec packaging. It could be UK Lemons, could be. Surely it's the Whatever You Want channel. Well, Hexalobula, could be. What's this? £1.80p. £1.80p from the web for a talk bit. Yeah, but Fred, I don't know if you're talking about my Mercedes woes, but it was, as I said, standard security bits, which most people won't have. They'll have crossheads and posi drives and flats. These are security bits for all those odd-shaped ones. I forget which way round it is. They're sort of 6-point stars, if it's the star-shaped one, which may or may not have a pinhole in the middle. And these were 5. It's non-standard heads. Really mean. Oh, high-risk wife baiting. Yeah, afraid so, Martin H, but you've got to live a little, haven't you? Keeps you busy. Those are ticks, 20 or 25 bits of security hole. Yeah, but George, like I said, I have security bits. The ones with the hole, ones without the hole, different shapes. But I've never come across these. None of my security bit set fit, and it's a pack with, I don't know, about 40 different security bits in. I get better bag packing by wearing all my clothes on the flight. Oh, guys, do any of you know? Am I in trouble? We went to check-in, online check-in today. As I said, the flight's at 12:55. You can check in 24 hours before, so we were ready because we thought, let's check in, make sure we're checked in, and maybe we can grab a couple of good seats if we're lucky. So we go to check in, and mine's playing up a bit because we've had different bookings. Because I have a flight out and a flight back a week later. She has a flight out and a flight back almost a month later, so they're booked separately at pretty much the same time. So anyway, it was struggling booking mine in. Well, let's try yours. Oh yeah, checked you in, and it's allocated you a seat which you can change either by paying or taking one of the other free ones. That's okay. Right, let's do me. And it kept getting muddled up. It thought I was Mrs. S, and I thought cookies. So I deleted my cookies, tried again, it's still doing. What on earth is this doing? Reloaded the machine, came back in again, started everything, went to check in. Every time. Well, it's struggling at first to put in my passport details and that. Finally, it did that. Yep, you're in. We know who you are. And it said, now you've actually got to check in. Now we've got additional details. Okay, so it basically says, do you accept our carriage rules? No explosives, no big, sharp, pointy knives, all that sort of thing. Yeah, that's fine. And then it went back to screen, says, you've got to check in. What? I just tried to do that. Went back in. I went through the whole thing again, the whole palaver, ticked all the boxes, double checked. Yeah, it's all done. Every time it's telling me, we can't check you in. You're going to have to go to the airport with your documents. Should I be worried? It checked in Mrs. S, okay, so it's not that their system's down. But it just won't let me check in. So we're going to turn up at the airport. She's checked in. I'm not. Is that a problem? I'm going to go up to the desk. Are they going to say, for instance, it's an issue with your passport? It's an issue with your booking? Or we just don't like you? It can't be that, can it? But yeah, I'm a little worried. I did get Mrs. S to repack to make sure that all her stuff was in one bag, mine was in another. And since most of the stuff we're taking is things for the baby, I said, look, you're going to have to prioritise which ones you must take as opposed to which ones don't really matter, just in case they're going to turn me away and say, sorry, you can't come. Is my passport about to run out? It runs out in 2031. So my passport's good. It's only a couple of years old. Trouble with flights, Mr. S. Need help, just DM me and may be able to shed some light. Well, Nimrod, it was just that. Hers checked in, allocated her a seat. Mine, it let me put in my passport details eventually. I think it got itself into a pickle, and then it thinks there's something funny with this booking because it basically just says you can't book online, check in online. Flat Earth Airlines. Well, let's hope Brian's not working out the route. Flat Earther intercepted your application. Could be. As long as it's BA, it's British Airways. So, well, actually, if they did try and charge for airport check-in, I'm going to kick up a fuss because we were there trying to check in 24 hours before. And as an aside, Mrs. S now has an allocated seat. Let's say I go there and they say, yep, that's okay, we can check you in. You're sat at the other end of the aircraft. Yeah, I know it's nice to sit together, but actually, for medical reasons, it's best that we sit together. So we might have to kick up about that. See if we can still get two seats next to each other. Although I did say to Mrs. S, look, if they put me between two total babes, I'll just grin and bear it. Yeah, I'm still aching from that one. A bit sore, you know. BA are okay. Well, that's good to know. Thanks, Brian. Thank you. BA will be fine, I'm sure, says UK Lemons. Excellent. I feel a bit happier because Mrs. S, I said, look, you know, if they turn me away, you're still going because we pay for 2 flights to Dubai and obviously want to see a granddaughter. It would be stupid for you not to go. And you say, oh, I don't really know about this flying in the planes and aren't they going to fly like that around if we because they dip the nose and everything. And I said, no, it'll be all right, you go. Such sacrifices. Well, that's right, Vadim. Yeah, you know, if needs must. Hey, I'm that kind of guy. I took the train last time I went to travelling. None of that check-in nonsense. Well, although if you take the train across to the continent, I think you do have to check in, don't you? I've never done it like that. I've taken the Channel Tunnel. I've never sort of caught the... whatever it is. What is it? The high-speed train from London to Paris. Never done that. Ryanair. Oh, man. Don't talk to me about Ryanair. Absolutely ridiculous. We bought a set of tickets. It was myself, Mrs. S and 3 kids. A set of return tickets to Sweden, no less. And then for the return... Well, now we booked for the return. I'm sure it was sort of 12 o'clock midday flight back, or whatever it was. We got there to check in and said, "Oh no, you missed your flight." I said, "What do you mean you missed our flight? It's not yet for a couple of hours." No, it was 12 midnight. No, it wasn't because there's no way I'd book a flight at midnight with kids aged sort of 4 up. And they said, "No, it is." I think something had gone wrong with the booking system. Now, I can't prove it. So I said, you know, this isn't my fault, but okay, well, we obviously need to get home, so we need to get on the next flight. And I said, oh yeah, there'll just be an admin charge. Okay, an admin charge, fair enough. Oh, and you'll have to pay for the flight. Hold on, I paid for return, which is there and back again, usually, and now you want me to pay to fly back again, bearing in mind you probably used our seats that we didn't take. Yeah. And how much is that going to be? And it was more than the bloody original return. Never flew with Ryanair again. And can you find a phone number for them? No. Nowhere on their website is there a phone number. Nowhere. You cannot speak to them. Okay, I'll email them. Can you find an email address? No. And I tried for weeks and I had literally no way to contact them. Absolutely disgusting. Yes, no, Mr. Sensible, I'm already on the continent, but the police boarded and glanced quickly at passports after crossing the border and nothing more. Don't they use Zulu time? Yeah, I don't know what went wrong with the Ryanair. I mean, I'm pretty sure there was an error with their system, but I can't prove it. And, okay, there's a chance, however unlikely I felt it was, there's a chance that I just got the time wrong. And I was willing to accept there being an admin charge, but to have to pay again is a damn cheek. But to have to pay again, and that flight cost more than the both-way return flights, is just despicable. We're stood in an airport. Actually, it was an evening flight, a reasonable evening flight, 8 o'clock in the evening, with 3 kids, having been dropped off at the airport about 30 miles away from the only people we knew at the time in Sweden. They dropped us off, bye, and went home. We were stuck with 3 young kids. I honestly felt that they had us over a barrel and gave us a reaming. It was disgusting. And with no way of actually contacting them to discuss. Oh, Murph, goodbye to you. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you. Ryanair is fine if you follow the rules. Yeah, and one of my daughters says, "Oh, I use Ryanair, never had a problem." I know. If everything goes right, then you've got a cheap flight. If something goes wrong, you don't want to be there. Take it from one who knows. Take it from one who knows. And I knew someone who was a Ryanair pilot. Had to pay for his own uniform, had to pay for his own teas and coffees on the flight. Oh, come on. Yeah. Wow. Offer a man a plane ticket and he can fly for a day. Buy a man a plane and he can fly for the rest of his life. Very deep. They've got pages in the Reader's Digest for people like you, 274727. All flights are cheap when you book early. Well, yeah. Oh, just call me Abby says got to go. Have a good holiday if you get there. Thanks, mate. Plenty of rest. I will. Thank you. And thanks everyone for joining us. Yeah, we're just after 9 o'clock. I've got to do some baggage weighing, I think. It has been so good to be back. I will, if at all possible, try and do a video if there's one that's worth doing while I'm away. I mean, last time I had the Burj Al Khalifa, which is something I really wanted to do. It was pre-planned and everything. This time I haven't got anything pre-planned. I don't know how much you're going to be able to get out because we're totally reliant on my daughter and son-in-law to get us about anywhere, unless we're just getting an Uber somewhere local. I don't know what else there is. Might have a dig around. Hey, maybe I could have another go at trying that, filming the shadow going up the Burj Al Khalifa. The problem is it's so reflective, you don't really get much of a shadow. And the idea... yeah, Nimrod, I did see that's there. I will check it out. Thank you, pal. Jens Gurka, just check your Discord. Just post a picture of the 5-point security bit set. I will have a look at that. Thank you. Like I said, I can't remember if I've got 5 and the Merc 6 or I've got 6 and the Merc's 5, but I know that it didn't fit. And what was I saying? I think I finished. Oh, yeah, videos in Dubai. If there's something that looks worthy of doing, I shall do it. And maybe I don't know if I get a good Wi-Fi signal anywhere other than the house. I'll see if I can film something. Hopefully there's something. It's an amazing place. I know there's all sorts of questions about other aspects of Dubai. I'm not going to go there. But it's an incredible, incredible city. Right. I've talked myself silly, worn out my throat. Airbus A319 ACJ would be a nice private plane. Would it indeed? I don't know which one that is. Right. Oh, Mr. 42 says, what's up? And I think he's about to add, how are we for time? What are you, the great prophet Zarkon? Connie says, nice to chat and interact. Big respect and love to all in the chat. Enjoy whatever is ahead of you. Thank you, Connie, and I'm sure everyone else passed on the thanks as well. And I'm glad you joined us. I'm going to wrap it up before Mrs. S comes down and gives me another clout round the head. So I'm going to say thank you all. I will try and get on more often. As you know, if you saw the front of the stream, there are reasons behind what's happening with me recently. So do feel free, if you haven't caught the front of the stream, I'm not going to go into it again. Rewatch the first 10 minutes or so of the stream and find out why I've not been around much. Okay, I'm going to say thanks all very much. Take care, stay sensible, and good night. Bye bye.
Mr. Sensible, Mr. Sensible, bring me some cheese, and get me only the best if you please. Best if you please. Here are some flowers, let me display them. Yea, better one, or you have gone or slay them. Mr. Sensible, you are a man. Every subscriber is a faithful fan. Bring your logic and your cheese. Mr. Sensible, help us out, please. Mr. Sensible, I needed proof of gravity, so I jumped off the roof. It had not let me go further. Why was I ever such a dumb flat earther? Mr. Sensible, I'm such a clown. I am the laughing stock of the town. Bring your logic and your cheese. Mr. Sensible, help me out, please. Mr. Sensible, bring me a sphere, to which the waters of the oceans adhere, have explanations, but let me be candid.